I'm telling you, it's gonna be huge.
Remote control android avatars, actual androids, time travel, things are gonna get a little weird. But weird is the word of the day when it comes to Amazon Prime's The Peripheral. So let's get weird together, not in a weird way, and let's talk about that ending a bit, shall we?
May I? Please.
Once upon a time in a future war, vet named Burton Fisher was hired to test out a new VR headset but pawned it off to his sister who was way better at VR games anyway. The game felt super real because it was super real for everyone else but her. The way that whole transfer of consciousness thing works might take a little bit too much time and strings and images and a lot of coffee. So hold your horses and let's talk about the players on the board. Flynn is Burton's sister who went to the future via a remote control robot known as a Peripheral, not to be confused with a technical, which is also a human android, just nobody else is at the wheel. The person that hired Burton but got Flynn instead is a mystery woman known as Alita, and Alita becomes the walking, talking MacGuffin for the rest of the season after she goes missing in the pilot episode. Now the first person who wants to find Alita is her brother Wilf. Wilf is working with a shady person named Lev Zubov, who for right now is an ally, but you can already tell he's a villain because he's got the whole, cool beard thing going. I don't have one, so you can at least trust me, right? With Zubov's support, Wilf enlists Flynn to help find Alita because she was the last person to see her. Zubov is a member of the Klept, yes, short for kleptocracy, but we'll get to that in a little bit because he is a bad guy. They're also running afoul from the Research Institute and Charisse Newland because the Research Institute was the thing that Flynn and Alita were robbing. The third pillar of this bread-based triumvirate is the Metro, represented by Lowbeer, who really just wants to know what the hell is going on. Who doesn't at this point? These people live in a future that is recovering from an apocalypse called the Jackpot, because the future clearly has a great sense of humor. Flynn and Burton live in a slightly less future before the Jackpot. They're living in their own post-messed up time as Burton and his friends are veterans of a brutal and largely undefined civil war with enhanced haptic implants that allow them to connect to each other. They can communicate silently, they can even see through each other's eyes. I kinda want some of those implants for me and my boys, huh? Flynn's present is not that far away from our future, so how did it change so quickly? Well, initially, Flynn is told by the Research Institute that they found a way to communicate with the past and started using it to test new technologies, which is shady enough as it is. But it gets even shadier. Each time the Research Institute or Zubov mucks up the past, a new timeline is created. If only they had the Ancient One to explain why this is a bad idea. Flynn actually lives in one of these stubs where the Research Institute has been mucking about for a while, including introducing haptic implants way before they would have appeared in their prime timeline. That would seem to be enough to get Alita upset, but after her implant was taken out in the pilot, the memories it had been suppressing came back, including how the Klepts ran the camps that Wilf and Alita were in after the Jackpot, and how they wiped out 5 million people in a fortnight to stop an outbreak. The data that Alita stole is all of it. All of the data on the Research Institute, the stubs, the Klepts, the whole deal. With her merry band of former orphans she's been recruiting, she hopes to use the data to bring down the entire system and redo it. The problem is, Alita hired Burton because Burton had haptic implants and Flynn does not. So the headset wrote the library as DNA, which is what causes all of her issues. Getting it out is trickier, just ask another William Gibson character, Johnny Mnemonic. To make things trickier, Zubov was mean to some of his technicals, and one of them, called Ash, goes to Charisse Newland in the Research Institute and strikes a deal. She also tells Charisse what Alita stole, which causes Charisse to put a very large thumb on the Jackpot in Flynn's stub, arranging for a nuclear silo to explode, wiping out Flynn's town. For his part, Zubov was cooperating with Wilf because he wanted whatever it was that Alita stole to give it to the Klepts to do even shadier things with it. The only one left on Flynn's side was Lowbeer. With Lowbeer, Flynn hatches a very convoluted plan. Getting a location for stub monitoring from Lowbeer, Flynn breaks in and creates a new stub out of her stub, then crushes the watch key so Charisse can't track her. Then, in her original stub, she convinces her brother's friend to assassinate her, theoretically making it look like Lowbeer had Flynn killed in Flynn's time in the name of stability for Charisse. But Charisse did see her create a new stub, and they had a little bit of a taunt off. Regardless, Flynn in her original stub is gone, so there's no need to blow it up and lose all of the research that is already ongoing. Flynn from the new stub is now free to meet with Lowbeer and formulate a plan to defeat Charisse and the Research Institute. We also get a post-credit scene because that's the new normal. Via Zubov's father's colleagues, we learn the nature of the Klepts, and they were spread out by an event called the Putin Diaspora. They're there to tell Zubob that the asset that is Flynn was fine, but now that it's off the rails, he has to eliminate it, moving Zubob from frenemy to enemy. This makes Season 1 a preamble to a big showdown. Alita and the Neoprims need Flynn's data to bring down Charisse and the Research Institute. Zubob is ordered to eliminate Flynn, who is also working for Charisse as long as she doesn't get what's inside her head. And of course, Flynn and Lobeer prepare to enact their own plan to take down Charisse and the Research Institute. The series takes a wide departure from the book. Lobeer does give the book's ending when she explains what happens to Flynn in her timeline. She explains that Flynn marries local sheriff Tommy, who finds himself in the middle of the Research Institute hiring assassins to kill Flynn through their drug dealer Kingpin that they've been using to test medications with. In conclusion, I hope this cleared up some of your questions about what happened in the ending of Peripheral. Make sure to like and subscribe for more of us here at Screen Rant. Have a good one.